what I've really been trying to work on in supporting you is, and you taught me this, is trying to get on your map on how you see it, because we see things drastically different often. And during this season, I've been trying to realize and recognize why something would make you feel a certain way, why you would look at it a certain
way. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Imperfectly Married.
Yes.
For those of you that attended the marriage conference,
so good.
It was so amazing.
Oh my gosh, what a great turnout! So great to see you. Thanks for coming. Hope you got some rhythm out of that.
Yes, it was such a great event. Yeah. We're so stoked, and we're also glad that it's over.
Yeah, that was a lot, but so it's great. Like, this is what you do. It's the effort you put in. Like, it's all of the things.
It was so worth it.
Yeah.
It was worth every second.
100%.
So, super excited to talk about this topic, because I think that this is such a valuable topic. We're going to be talking about how when one spouse is doing like really great, and then the other person is in a season of like overwhelm, burnout, exhaustion, they're grieving. And it's kind of like one of those things that it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. I can't stand life. And I just need a break, and I'm overwhelmed and I'm exhausted. And the other person's like, I'm
living my best life here.
Yeah.
Things are going well. Yeah.
Exactly. And then it can also make the person that's kind of going through a challenging season almost feel bad for the season that they're in, or that they're bringing the other spouse down. So we're going to be talking about how to like connect and stay connected, how to support, and all of those kinds of things. So
because that situation and that dynamic happens often, and it happens, I think, often more than, if you really pay attention, it happens pretty occasionally. Pretty often. Because it's the gamut of reasons. It could be, as like you said, as huge as grief, but also as less than something, not feeling well. Like, just
like minor.
I'm not getting any sleep. Like,
oh gosh,
and that changes everything. I mean, and if you're lucky, it happens opposite, and you're both not having the same, issues at the same time, which would be problematic. But
because I would say rarely does it ever happen that you're both kind of going through the same season simultaneously, unless you're both experiencing grief,
right,
of a lost loved one. But most of the time, even in that situation, it's impacting one person greater than the other.
Yeah, I agree.
And so, it's not always like this 50-50 kind of like relationship of where it's like everyone's kind of matching each other emotionally. One spouse could be like in total grief, like overwhelmed and stressed out at work. They could be battling that burnout. They could be carrying some family pressures that it's like are
huge,
just like weighing on them. I think of like, when we've kind of gone through some family things, it's like I carry the burdens of like our kids greater than you do.
Yeah.
And that's, always really hard. And, also processing like the disappointment or loss of something or a dream that can weigh heavily on one spouse over the other. And while the other spouse could be feeling totally stable, they're like hitting like all cylinders, like they're super productive, they're emotionally okay, and they're kind of confused on how to help the other spouse.
No, totally. And along with that is guilt can be a part of it, where the spouse that is doing okay in whatever circumstance, it's not that there's better or right, it's just, you can feel guilty, like, oh, I have been sleeping, or this didn't happen. I mean, look at our situation now. You lost your job, like mine is intact and everything's fine, everything's going well. But it's like there's a part that could be, you just feel kind of guilty that those things aren't happening to me, and that's something that's you often have to carry. And it's interesting because some of the hardest seasons, I think, for marriages are not that both are having similar problems. It's when one is having one problem and the other's not. And it's finding the right level of support or partnership or whatever it is that looks for that particular season.
Yeah.
Because the one that's not experiencing it for the most part, truly does want to help.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's hard to find the right mechanism or the right strategy to help, which then could turn frustrating. But, we'll talk about that later. But I guilt goes a lot with it when you're not the one having the problem.
Yeah, it's like I can be totally like burdened and bogged down and like feeling the weight of, just life. But then it's like you're almost feeling the responsibility and the weight of having to carry me and my weight and my troubles and that kind of stuff. So it can cause some different challenges and strains on a relationship.
No, absolutely.
And it's like there can be, some like misunderstandings, I think, a lot of the time within like those stresses. It's like I can be feeling, possibly like unseen or misunderstood in my own struggles. And it's like, and if you're not careful, you can like almost interpret those as me being irritated or disappointed or angry at you, and vice versa.
100%. And that's where there's some relational wisdom in knowing your partner, in how they're processing, and really being able to carry a lot of grace for that season. I know that we've gone through many seasons that either one of us have been in one of those situations, and there's an extra tinge in the air. There's an extra, and you can't take it personally. I if you listen to our last episode, you can see things through the filter that you feel, oh, you're mad at me. I did something wrong, or da 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 da. But really having the filter of they're going through a whole different experience and having these levels of emotions, and emotional intensity is not always equal. So so how I would deal with a situation that you're facing could be vastly different than how you're dealing with it. And if I respond in a way in how I would deal with it, and then kind of judge like what's the big deal, or going the other way, like this is worse than you think, there's some wisdom that goes around really being open to be okay with wherever your spouse is at, and seeing them in that part of their processing.
It's been really interesting because as we've been kind of walking through, this our own season of this, of where, I'm feeling the burden and the stress, greater than you are. It's interesting because it's like I'm kind of unpredictable in a sense. It's like I can be kind of quiet sometimes, and it's like I can be really introspective, of where it's like I'm kind of processing things, and I can and it's hard because whenever I'm quiet, it's usually when I'm mad or irritated at you.
It's true. It's true.
And so I do know that in this current season, when I am kind of being more quiet, it can be like interpreted as like me being irritated with you. So it's like, then it's like I try to like, kind of bring you into like my processing, or like, oh, I'm struggling today, or I'm just not feeling well today, because along with me losing my job and that emotional weight, I've also been experiencing really heavy like perimenopause and like my hormones being out of balance, and physically I've not been feeling well.
It's like you're adding on top of what was already feeling out of whack.
Right. And so I'm kind of getting like the double whammy here. And so it's been an interesting season, and that's why we really wanted to talk about this, because it's not always going to be us both experiencing things in the same way at the same time. And so because I feel like you've done a really good job most of the time of like really showing that support. What has, maybe like been your main focus while I've been kind of going through this harder season?
What I've really been trying to work on in supporting you is, and you taught me this, is trying to get on your map on how you see it, because we see things drastically different often. And during this season, I've been trying to realize and recognize why something would make you feel a certain way, why you would look at it a certain way. And I have a habit of correcting an untruth that when you're saying something that is untrue, or I don't believe is accurate, I've had to control not to immediately correct it because you're processing. It's your way of walking through all of the things that have happened. And so for me, I've been really concentrating on trying to understand from your perspective how you could reach the conclusion in your articulation of the problem and how it makes you feel and how you see it, so that I can better understand, like, okay, I can see where that is. There will always be times where I will feel compelled not to allow you to go past a certain point because that's just really, really not true, like, but when you're in the gray and it's like, you're just kind of processing, I always know that you arrive at the right center. You may be left or right during the process, but you always arrive there. So I've had to control my fix-it muscle and walk with you along the journey and just be kind of mindful of where your mind is going, where and just be thoughtful in how I support certain things that you're saying in agreement. Like, yeah, I really see that, or either staying quiet or offering other ways of looking at it. Right, taking from my wife a reframe of a certain thing.
Yeah, you've done really good at. I can tell that you're going into like fix it mode, and then you just stop and you go, okay. Like, and you kind of leave things alone, which sometimes I'll push on you and I'll be like, no, tell me, because I may be in a place to be able to receive it. And then other times I'm like, I don't want to hear it. So I just kind of,
I'm right here and I'm fine right here.
Yeah. And because I think that there's so many times when I am processing things that when there is that quick, like, no, that's not true. Like, I appreciate it in a lot of situations. In this particular time, it's been a little bit harder because I'm dealing with like really rooted lies.
Yeah.
Ooh, it makes me teary.
That came quick. Yeah.
I know. And so it's been really interesting because you telling me a truth and helping me to try to get out of it quick can sometimes communicate to me a minimizing of my feelings and what I'm actually feeling and how I'm processing things.
Yep.
And so I think that one of the more difficult things when someone's going through these seasons is really hearing them and really being alongside of them through the journey, because we don't always want our feelings to feel minimized, because what we're feeling is so heavy and it's so real. But
you can't take that. You should never take that away from someone.
Right.
They need to communicate that.
And when there is that, the phrases of, you'll be okay, or at least ... or just think positive, or you're overthinking it, or everyone gets stressed. What those kinds of statements do, they can unintentionally hurt because it's minimizing the pain or the experience of the other person. So some of like the better responses could be like, well, tell me more. And you've actually said that to me a few times throughout this time, or
I learned that from my wife.
Because that's why therapists always use that phrase, like, tell me more about that, because what it's doing is it's getting it out. It's not allowing it to stay stuck. It's like getting it out and then processing it out loud. Because sometimes just even when we say it out loud and we hear ourselves say it, we go, oh, that's actually not right.
Yeah.
Or that's not
It's
true.
crazy. Yeah.
And so, you can also say something like, I can see that this is heavy, or how can I support you? Or you don't have to carry this alone. I'm here with you. Those kinds of phrases like show the support, and that it's like, I'm not having to carry this all alone and by myself, but that it's like, we're a team in this, even though you're not feeling it to the gravity that I am. Or it could be that something happened that immediately was both really stressful, but then one person can get over it quicker and then the other person is sitting in it longer. It's like showing that team support, I think, is just so helpful and so valuable, because when you're walking through something that's really heavy, a lot of the times you just feel alone.
Yeah.
Or you feel that misunderstanding, or it's like there's just that desire for connection that is just so important for the other person to experience.
I would imagine one of the greatest supportive measures that the spouse can bring to the one that is carrying it is just faithful, consistent presence, to just be there. I know for me, as during this kind of longer season of difficulty and kind of navigating that, I found that there's been risks of me getting frustrated that it's not done yet. And it's interesting because when I reflect on why I feel like that, it seems unreasonable because it shouldn't be resolved yet. So why is it that I feel frustrated and I'm just like, why are we dealing with this? And what I realized is it's because I don't know what to do now. So since I left it out all there on the field, like I threw as much support as I knew how to do.
Yeah.
But it's not.
It didn't fix it.
It didn't fix. It's not done.
Yeah.
What can happen, I think, in relationships is the one that is trying to support can feel frustrated. And instead of holding back and coming forward with compassion and grace, they just get angry, and then they resort to, I mean,
I don't know what else to do.
Let's just go. Like, this is done. Like, come on. I mean, we've spent enough time. It's over. What are you going to do now? Like, there's nothing you can do. So let's just kind of move on. And that reaction is not really at the center of what you're trying to do as a loving spouse. It's your unknowing. It's your fear of I don't know what to do. And so now I default to, let's just be done and be over and move on. We've both done stuff like that before, where it's just like, I don't know what else to do. So to avoid further hurt or to avoid further pain, we're just going to forget it and move on and stuff it, right? I'm classic stuffer. So, but I really think that is a risk to many couples, is that this is taking longer than I thought it would.
Yeah.
And do you have the muscle, the emotional muscle, to go along the journey? That's going to challenge a lot. And many times, unfortunately, it's the experience of going through it that makes you better for it going forward. My suggestion in my way of going about it is knowing yourself enough to know the reason why I'm getting mad is because I don't know what to do. And there's a lie in that you think your spouse thinks you should know what to do. And that likely isn't the case. You just need to be there, be supportive, understanding, come with understanding, even if you don't really understand. Try to understand, try to see it from their perspective. And you'll be surprised once you, like you say, get on their map, you start seeing it through their eyes, how comfort and support kind of comes natural because you're now seeing it. What would support look like from this perspective? It kind of gives you a different view on, oh, okay, well, if this was me and I truly feel like that from this map, this is probably what I would need.
It's really a touchy subject because you really want to help your spouse get out of it, but you're having to try to diet yourself on the pace that they're going at.
Yeah, that's a great point.
But then you're also not wanting your spouse to remain stuck. And so I know that there's been things that you've seen in me that you're just like, babe, like, come on, like, that's not you. Like get out of that, like snap out of that. That is a false behavior or a false belief. And it's been interesting because I've needed to walk through some of those things. But I think what's also helped me is you, in a sense, challenging me. So there's an important thing that I want to process. And it's you see something in me or you see something where I'm stuck and you're challenging me to, grow through it, which I love and I appreciate, but it has to be done in a tactful way in order for me to receive it. And then it's now my responsibility to then take that challenge and put steps and action to it, because that is one thing that has helped me is I would say in the last, probably 3 weeks, there's been some intentional effort on my part of, I'm positioning myself in what am I reading? What am I listening to? What am I absorbing? And is that helping me to further myself and get unstuck, or is it keeping me stuck? So in stressful seasons, I can tend to, just veg out and just like pour myself into reality TV. We've talked about that on episodes. I know it's not the best, but I can pour into reality TV, like stupid podcasts that it's like are just kind of like fluff and just no substance. Or I can go the other way into self-development and into, getting into my word and reading the Bible and devotion and journaling and processing out some of these stuck emotions that I have. And it was really because of some of your challenges to me that helped me to kind of see that it's like, okay, like I need to kind of unstick some of these things. So there is a difficult dance to the supportive spouse that's maybe not in the midst of it, to where it's like you don't want to have your spouse be stuck for too long. So if you are watching them like kind of like dig themselves into a rut, and how like are you like feeling kind of like what I'm saying? Like have you kind of like seen that kind of dance and like in what I'm talking about?
So as you've been talking, I've been thinking about timing. So timing of, because many times it's my knee-jerk reaction as soon as I hear an untruth to attack it.
Right.
Like that doesn't get to go farther. But and we've talked about this before, just in discipling people and being pastors, is getting somebody through something faster is generally not the right call.
Right.
People need to go through the process that they go through. However, if you observe your spouse and they keep going back to the well of lie, coming to it and hanging out there for a second and then giving some time for their own spirit and knowledge to kind of work through it.
Yeah.
But if you find that they keep going back to it, like it seems like they passed it and then they go back to it, that's when I would suggest that's when you bring in the truth. The truth, like, hey, maybe consider this truth as opposed to the lie that you're hearing. So I'm hearing what you're saying, but I also and I think there's a timing there's a timing component that would be much better received, not in the midst of a tirade or a vomit session where it's like, I need to do output. I don't need to take input right now. I don't have the capacity to take input. I just need to get it out. That's where the wisdom of the other spouse, knowing what's happening, getting out. So for me, I needed to get out of my way to be thinking of you, not thinking of how I'm responding to your situation. In other words, I needed to not care about if I'm doing this right or wrong. I needed to be aware and perceptive of, okay, this is an output moment. This is she's going to go on this journey, but I know she knows truth. So I trust her enough to go through all of this. And where I'm learning is seeing you go through all of it and then see where you go from there. And if you come back and like a dog lick your own vomit, like that's problematic. I know that you're going back to something that isn't true. And then that's when I would be better at, hey, think about this.
That's so good, because really what it is it's the harder job is for the supporting spouse. The harder job is to kind of
you got to navigate that world.
Yes, because you're observing and you're navigating so many pieces, because what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to help your spouse get out of it. But you're also wanting them to do it in a healthy way, to where they're going to actually heal through it.
Yeah, get out by getting through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like there's just such an important balance, and we always say that we don't like the word balance, because that means that you can fall off, because we always think of like the balance beam, and you can fall off. But really what there is what I'm hearing is that you're saying there's an important rhythm.
Oh, I see what you did there.
There's a rhythm to this.
Absolutely.
Because you're having to pay attention, because in the midst of the vomit session, you're waiting to see where I arrive at. And then what am I going to do with that arrival? Am I going backwards back into it, or am I taking one tiny step forward?
Right.
Or are you seeing a moment of where it's like, okay, I put on my big girl panties, and it's like, and I'm taking a step forward? Or am I not processing the information, or am I staying really quiet, and am I not even allowing you in? That's where it's like your job is to start asking questions and enticing that communication to really find out where your spouse is.
Yeah.
It's like healthy support looks like that patience, consistency.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Checking in, like, how are you doing? How are you processing? Where are you at today?
You said the check-in. It's really easy to go to sleep, wake up the next day, and for the supporting spouse just to be like, I hope it's done.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then not want to check in because you don't want to. It could go two ways. One, you're selfish and you don't want to go through the whole thing again. Or two, you're afraid that if you do ask, it then opens it up for them and they were like moving on, like they were kind of doing whatever. The risk is always better on the side of they may go back in. You have to check in. You have to check in, because that's the battle that I've had to do sometimes is, oh, is this going to open it up? Are we good? Do we want to talk about this? You always need to err on the side of, hey, how are you? You want to chat, or do you want something to talk about?
Because communication goes both ways. So if you open the door and because I've said this to you before, like I'm okay right now, but I really don't want to talk about it because I don't want to go back into it. And then there's also been other times of where it's like you've checked in and I go, I'm fine. And then I go, and then and then but it's like, it's crazy,
but
because
it's the prompt,
because a lot of the times I am processing things internally, and this is why we love the Enneagram so much, is because there's so much going on in your inner world, and everyone processes information so differently. And so because of the Enneagram, we've been able to know kind of what's going on in each other's worlds a little bit easier because you know that I'm a fast processor.
Very
That's
fast.
why I can speak really fast on the podcast. I'm processing information. I'm constantly thinking da, 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 and I'm going 10 miles an hour.
I need space.
Where
I need
you
moments to
exactly, you need to formulate your thoughts. You need to process, and you need to come to the right conclusion. To where I'm like, oh, but I'll give you 10 ideas and
I'll
maybe
just put it out there.
And maybe one's only true.
Yeah.
And so that's where like knowing the Enneagram has helped us in this situation, because I can spew out 10 things and you know that likely 8 of them are not true, but it's just kind of like my thinking and processing. But 2 of them, you're going to kind of go, okay, I'm going to see where she's going to go with this, because you can see that maybe there's a pattern in that. But only because of the Enneagram do we know these things about each other.
No, absolutely.
I also want to touch on like resentment, because resentment can build.
Which way?
Both.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like, so if you're not asking me, and if you've moved on, and if you're kind of
my support's over.
Yeah, you've thought that I should get over it, and so you're not doing the check-ins, you're not, you know, keeping that communication open. Like, I can start feeling resentful because I'm like, okay, well, I guess we're done. And I can start feeling like, okay, now I'm alone in this, and I'm just kind of having to deal with this on my own. I'm on an island. Yes. And then it's like, okay, well, if my spouse is feeling this way, then everyone in my life must be feeling this way. So now I start shutting down with friends. I start pulling away from, you know, social things. I start isolating. And I think that that's a real thing for people that are going through heavy things. The enemy wants to keep us in isolation.
Oh my goodness.
How many times do we need to say it?
Silence and isolation, he's winning.
Yes.
He's winning every time.
So if you see your spouse isolating and not kind of going out with their friends, like they stop checking in, that sort of thing, that should be a red flag to you that you need to either gather the posse, you know, reach out to one of her girlfriends or his guy friends and say that it's like, hey, I need you to check in on my spouse. You know, those things are good, and it shows that you care and that you're wanting to nurture your relationship with your spouse.
Because there is going to be a reality where one spouse can feel that because either the silence or the behavior that they're observing would make them feel like, oh, they're mad at me, right? And I'm just going to say this, in that moment, it may seem like that's true, and it may be true at the very, very surface. But that's not really the problem. The problem is the problem. The problem is actually the thing that they're going through. And our encouragement to you would to be just get through that surface level that it could be you, and just get into it, because it's not really. It's not. And going back to the resentment now going back the other way to the one from the supportive spouse is now resentful in the fact, like, when do I get to be taken care of? Now I'm resentful because all of our energy and support is being put on you. Now, you know, obviously that would be something that would probably take a long time, hopefully, but that is a risk that could happen, that spouse could be like, okay, are we done? Like, I need to be loved too, you know, but see that's why there's a rhythm to this. There's a rhythm to where you can go, don't worry. Now, okay. I always feel like I want to make a disclaimer. It's just there are situations that are outside of what we're talking about that are very traumatic, deep. We're not.
That's when you need a therapist to come in and diagnose it. And
emotional, mental. Like, we're not talking about those things. We're talking about the situations that are heavy, are heavy, that you're going through, that take time, patience, and rhythm to really get through. And the fact, a little bit of sacrifice and in a little bit of pain in your
I would say adjusting your expectations.
Oh, that's perfect.
Because I think that's what you're talking about.
100%.
Is your expectations are that it's like, okay, we're usually like 50-50 here, and now
this
all
is
of a
full-on
sudden
subset of regular expectation.
And now I've had to come in and I'm carrying 90 or 80% and there's not enough emotional capacity, because now all of a sudden you can start feeling the stress and the weight of things. And now it's like, it feels like you're both kind of going through something. Recognizing that like your expectations for your relationship are just temporarily adjusted just for a moment.
Just temporary. Yeah.
It is just
it's not
temporary.
The new normal.
And
it feels like it. It feels like it's the new normal.
Yes.
But it absolutely isn't.
It is not. And if you start sensing that it is, that's where you need to kind of pivot and go into like a therapy situation. Yeah. Like if you're noticing that this is going on way too long, and if you're feeling that it's like, okay, this needs to be adjusted, then that's when you have a professional kind of come in, and there's no shame in that.
Oh
we love therapy.
No, yes.
We think that it's one of the best things that we've ever done in the seasons of marriage.
Having an outside party look into, especially when you find the right therapist, if you find the right therapist that is truly unbiased, and that just looking at your situation and is providing input and getting you to communicate, best thing ever.
Yeah. And just a reminder too, that hard seasons, like they reveal so much, and they can actually be really helpful. You know, they're going to reveal like communication patterns, emotional maturity. They're going to reveal compassion or the lack of compassion.
Often the lack of it, yeah. Because there's levels of compassion that you reach. It's not just compassion. There's longevity in compassion, like because you can get weary. You remember when we were I was taking care of my dad, and one of the messages I did after he passed was this idea of being weary in taking care of. I forgot what I called it. It wasn't compassion. Where it was similar to battle fatigue, where you got fatigued in caring because it went on for longer than you thought. It was longer than you thought you could go, and the encouragement is you just keep going. This isn't forever. This isn't forever. Yeah. So it's like that level of compassion, when it gets difficult, it will be spent. Promise you, it's going to be spent. You're going into reserves when you're doing this, but those reserves are so deep. There is a deep well there. If you allow yourself to go there, you get outside of yourself. If you can not be centered on yourself and truly be centered on your hurting spouse, you'd be amazed what that does with your relationship on the other side of this particular riff in the rhythm. What happens on the other side of that?
And really knowing your spouse and knowing what they need, or perceiving what they need, because I think a lot of the times we don't know what we need in the midst of like the chaos, because there's chaos going on inside of our brains. Like there's too much information to process. And I think one of the simple things that you've done for me is, I try not to take offense to it at the time, but I do it. And I
can't wait to hear it.
And I feel really good afterwards. But it's like, you're like, maybe you need to get out and go on a walk.
Oh, the walk. Oh, that's been the best thing.
But literally, I do it, and then I do come home, and I'm like, and you go, so how are you doing? And I go, actually, I'm doing a lot better, because what it does is it gets me out of the routine or out of the house, or it breaks the pattern I'm in.
Yep.
And going outside, getting fresh air, getting perspective, praying, really processing my own thoughts. Like sometimes I will not listen to anything, no music, no nothing. And it's like, I'll just kind of be alone in my thoughts. Yep. And there's something too about the rhythm of the steps It's helping to kind of break up some of the things inside of your body. It's giving you positive endorphins from movement and exercise. So it's helping on so many different levels. So sometimes it can be like, let's go outside. Like, let's go get a walk. Like there's so many simple things that you can do that actually brings support. It could be as simple as, if you always see your spouse like doing a particular chore, why don't you jump in and do that chore before they have to? It's like don't ask them, do you want me to do this? Yeah. Or what can I do to help you? Like those things, it's like, oh my gosh, now I have to help you figure out what to do.
Honestly, those statements.
It's like, I hate it. I'm just like, shut up, go away.
Literally have said that so many times too. It's just when you realize what those statements are actually saying, it's just unbelievable. You know, one of the things that I want to encourage the supporting spouse. Think about this. Some of the deepest trust and deepest love that your spouse will ever feel is on the other side of this particular season, because they'll realize you loved me through times when I didn't deserve to be loved. And it's good. There is a cost. There is a cost. There is no doubt there's a cost, but the cost is so worth it. The return on that investment, not that you need to do it for you. You're not doing it for you. You're doing it for your spouse. But the return on that sacrifice and that cost that you make to walk them through, that you die to yourself for your spouse, that connection that you have on the other side of that, oh man.
Yeah.
I'd pay double. I'd pay double that sacrifice.
These hard seasons, they deepen intimacy because it's taking the mask off. You know, you see the truest like ick and rawness of your spouse. It's like vulnerability just increases, and it can increase both ways, because it's like you can share that it's like I really want to support you in this, but I don't know how. And then it's like I can show my vulnerability on just like, oh, there's so much ick going on right now, you know, and really empathy grows, and it grows, you know, most of the time from the supporting spouse to the difficult season spouse, you know, but it's like there's like a new appreciation. There's a level of just kind of like, I see you kind of moments. And you learn so much more about your spouse on like how they need to be loved, how they need to be nurtured, maybe even their dreams and why this has rocked their world so much. It's like you can kind of start processing the deeper parts of whatever they're walking through. You know, it's like love just is so complex, but also so simple at the same time. It's like we can just continue to show up. You know, you listen, you stay, and you just be gentle. It's like those things.
Gentleness matters.
Are key.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
You know, it's just choosing patience even when it's not convenient. It's like there's so many times of where it's like you just need a little bit more patience, and it's like just refraining from saying one more sentence and just letting them speak one more sentence.
You know, I want to reiterate what you said. Patience is a choice, and you have to understand. Don't be confused. It is a choice. Now, there's some that come with natural patience. That's just kind of their demeanor and their personality. But for many, it is a choice that you have to make.
Yeah.
And it's one that needs to be made. And let's not forget, coming from a faith perspective and you're supporting your spouse, anybody can love a polished version of someone. That's very easy. It's not challenging. Covenant love, the one that is, when you're coming from faith, covenant love shows up when life gets messy. We can't forget that Christ's love often is quiet, right? I mean, presence matters. That's expressing love. Consistency matters. That's expressing love. Gentleness, like we said, That's expressing love. That matters. And taking those steps to love your spouse when they're going through a season, however long that season is, could be short, could be long, but being prepared to, I love when you talked about expectations, because you just know that the expectations are different now. We're usually partner and partner, we're doing this together, but there's this moment where, okay, I'm carrying more weight. I'm going to lift this up. I got this. Yes, it's going to be difficult. Maybe for some it's not that difficult because that's your personality, but for many it is. It's very difficult. But the reward, you loved your spouse well.
Yeah.
You got them through. You held them up. You walk them through the fire and you're together. My goodness, if that isn't marriage, wow, that's just unbelievable.
While you were talking, I was getting this picture of just like a lot of the times I think the spouse, that's not like that's like not struggling, or, that's the more supporting spouse, wants there to be kind of like this more like waves crashing, kind of like getting over it. And it's like the tide comes in and the tide goes out. And it's like there's this fierceness to where it's like the supporting spouse is kind of like, all right, like I'm over it, aren't you?
Yeah, we're done. We're going out now. We're done.
Yeah. And what I think is more the picture of what's going on is that we're just a gentle stream. It's like there is progress being made, but sometimes it's like, have you ever looked at a stream and it's like, you're like, is that even moving water?
No, totally. And it's only because the leaf is on it that you're like, oh.
Exactly. Yeah. And so as long as there's moving momentum, don't worry.
Point. That's a great point.
It's going to be okay.
Yes.
And you are moving.
Yes.
It just might not be this fierce crashing wave that you want it to be, but there is forward movement and you need to trust the process, and you need to be praying and supporting and loving your spouse in whatever that looks like. And don't like negate the prompting from the Spirit or from God that it's like, this is the time to go get therapy. But ultimately, just love, stay consistent, don't rush their healing. I think
say that again.
I think that's one of the largest keys, because if you try to rush the healing's not complete. And there could
they
still
skip steps. They jumped over. They're trying to please you. Hey, supportive spouse. They're just trying to please you if they're trying to get through it quick.
Yes. Stay connected even when you feel helpless. Remember the season won't last forever.
Never does.
And then if you're the struggling spouse, this is key too. I think let your spouse in.
Oh yeah.
Don't shut them out.
Yeah, this is not a solo race you're doing here.
At all. Communicate what you need clearly.
Could be hard sometimes, I would imagine.
Yes, because there is so many emotions and so many things tugging at you that it's like, I think it can feel unclear, but I think you can communicate clearly even in the unclarity of it all, because you can just start over communicating. If you're the struggling spouse, over communicate. It's okay. Yeah. Because again, like, you're not going to over communicate for the rest of your life. You just maybe need to do that for this moment. Don't isolate, accept support without guilt, and then ultimately just give yourself grace. Yeah. Like, this is not going to be your forever. There will be a moment in a time where you can, walk this out in victory, and you won't be stuck forever. This is just a season. Yep.
To the supportive spouse, I would say it's not about you. The feelings that your spouse are going through, it's not because of you. It's not about you. It's about them. And so it's important to go into this season when you see it appear that you can't take things personally. Your struggling spouse is coming from a place of raw pain, hurt. It's not easy to control emotions at that. It's not easy to not fire at the closest thing to you, right? So just remember, it's not about you. You're not the problem.
Right.
You being there, present, caring, compassionate with grace, you're not the problem. If you start to feel like that, let it slide. You're not the problem. You're just caring for your spouse in love.
Yeah. There should be a lot of grace given in times of struggle.
If you just do that well.
Yeah. Done.
If you just come in with overwhelming amounts of grace, you've won. You've already won. You haven't even started. You've already won because that's the pathway.
Yeah. And if you're the supporting spouse and you don't know what to do, go find someone that does.
Oh, it's great.
Like go reach out to someone that's a little bit further ahead. Yep. I do think that we've lost in this world that we live in the idea of mentorship and the fact that it's like the older generation has already done these things. We can actually ask for their wisdom and guidance.
Weakness. You want to know what strength looks like? Strength looks like you found somebody that has done it and then you ask for help. That's strength. Weakness is being like, I can do this by myself. I've been here for 30 years. They've been here for 70. I'm thinking they may have some insight for you.
Right.
And we know they love to give it.
But maybe that's why in this generation we've actually stopped asking, is because there was an overwhelming abundance of
because they always just gave it.
Advice that wasn't asked for.
I
don't know. That's for another episode.
Yeah, no, it is. I think so.
But I do think that it's like find the quiet, reserved, older generation that isn't offering it in abundance and ask them. We've seen older couples that you can just tell that they're in love, and we've went up to them before and we've asked them like, hey, how long have you guys been married? Like, what's your biggest tip?
Absolutely.
And they're the ones that it's like just offer like the sweetest advice and just love and
get help. It's good.
It's okay.
Yes, it is okay.
And it's okay to share your vulnerability. Like let the spouse in and show grace, show love. It won't last forever. If it is lasting forever, go get help.
That's exactly right. Love it.
Okay, so if you are in a season that's a little bit more challenging, definitely reach out to us in our DMs on social media. We would love to pray for you.
Absolutely.
And
we're not kidding about that either. That's not a favor.
It's not.
That's a life mission of ours. We'd love to support you in that.
So definitely share this with someone that you feel like needs help and support. If you are going through a hard time, we are so sorry. We understand, but it won't last forever.
Will not.
And there is a rainbow on the other side of the storms.
True that.
So we love you guys. And again, we loved the Rhythm Conference.
Oh,
it was
so good.
So amazing. And like, share, subscribe, all the good things. And we will see you next time on Imperfectly Married, the podcast.
See you then.